Good morning. Today I want to talk about the refrigerant cycle and how refrigerant goes through the system. It might be a little more technical than a homeowner wants, but I also want some of the people that are deciding to go into trade school or work in the trade already to understand the cycle a little bit better. So I'll be talking about it, but I also have drawn up on a piece of paper, kind of give you an idea of what to look for. And I'm no artist by any means. It took me a while to try to write this clear enough for you to see anything. So I will be using the camera, turning it around to show you a few things. But I want to talk about the 4 parts before we go through this. There are 4 major parts in any air conditioning system. I don't care what your system is, it's going to have this. They've always had this, and they always will have to have this. So first thing is our compressor. Our compressor is the heart of the system. Here's what I want you to understand is that that our heart in our bodies, of course we pump blood. So if we start getting a restriction, what happens? The pressure goes up. Correct? So if we're low in blood, then it goes the other way. Well, the same thing happens in an air conditioning system. That's why we have gauges and we can read through thermometers and read temperatures and so forth. So the next thing we have is our condenser coil outside. So our compressor and condenser coil is all in one unit. And the condenser coil only has one thing to do, and that's do a phase change. So we'll take a vapor. The compressor can only pump a vapor. It cannot pump a liquid. So we get that vapor into that condenser coil, and we do what we call subcooling, and we cool that down because we done raise that temperature when we raise the pressure. So we go to that condenser coil. That condenser coil, we're moving air through it, we're going to cool it down and it'll go into a liquid. And from there it goes to what we call a metering device that's going to adjust the pressure. And what we're trying to do is maintain a full column to the evaporator coil. We need it to stay as full as possible. So it lowers the pressure. Now, if we lower the pressure, we lower the temperature. And one analogy I'd like you to think of is the first day it gets cold in whatever area you're in. And if you've got a car that shows this, what'll happen is you'll get a tire light will come on saying low pressure. Well, what's happened is the temperature drops. So if the temperature drops, pressure drops. If pressure drops, temperature drops. They work together. So if the temperature comes back up, let's say in that day, I know here where I live in Alabama, that temperature might be close to 80 degrees that day. Then it'll come up, well, that light's going to go off because the temperature came up, the pressure's going to come up. So we drop that temperature to get that refrigerant cold. Now the refrigerant is unlike anything else. So once it gets in the evaporator coil, we're going to have a coil temperature, let's just say anywhere between 40 to 50 degrees. And we've got warm air in the house, and we're going to move air through that coil. And that coil is going to be cold, and we're going to, actually through physics, it will attach to the coldness. Heat always goes to cold. I don't care what the situation. If we open up a refrigerator door, the heat's going in. It's going to the cold. So then it comes back to the compressor as the vapor. Now I'm going to turn this around, the camera around, to kind of give you an idea. Give me just a second. I want to get something to point with. I'm going to use this pen as a pointer. Give me just a second here. See if I can turn it. Well, it's not going to let me turn it around for some reason. So I'll have to do it in a different way. Well, I couldn't get it to work, so I'm going to try to hold this sheet up to where I can see. But that's basically what I wrote out. If you look, our compressor is right here on home base. Compressor is the most important part. And if you notice, right here we got high pressure, high temperature vapor leaving the compressor. going to first base. And first base is our evaporator coil. That's where we're going to take that temperature and remove it from the refrigerant. Now, if you've ever went out to the outside unit and put your hand over that unit, you're going to feel that warm air coming off of it, which is warmer than the outside. That's us taking that heat, or the equipment taking that heat out of the refrigerant, using the air from the outside, because the air is cooler outside. So if you can have a 95-degree day, and the temperature of that refrigerant might be, let's just say 115 degrees. I'm just using that as an example. And it's going to take that to the outside. So once we leave that condenser coil, we're going right here to our metering device. So we're taking the liquid now. That's a high pressure, high temperature liquid. All we did when we go through the condenser coil, we do not change pressure. We change state. So we're going to go over here to our metering device. So our metering device has one job, and that's to adjust the refrigerant going to the evaporator. So we're going to lower that pressure down, which is going to lower that temperature. So then it's going to be a mix at this point. And we're going to go to our evaporator coil. An evaporator coil is what we call superheating. We're going to pick up that heat from the house. And once we get through, we're doing that, we're going right back to home base. So another thing I want to use is this analogy is we have two places within the system, or two parts in the system, that change the pressure. And we have two parts in the system that change state. So our compressor and metering device raise and lower the pressure, and our evaporator and condenser coil changes the state. And that's the way our system works. So let's just say we have something that gets in the way of it. Dirty filter, number one. If the filter's dirty, we're not going to get enough airflow to our inside to make that state change. The same way on the outside, if the coil is dirty, we're not going to change the state properly. I will go over some other things in another video to help you understand this better. And I will keep going over it. I just want you to understand the basics of the refrigerant has to flow in a proper sequence. And it always has to have things clean in order for it to make these changes. Otherwise, it's going to take a whole lot longer to cool your house or your office or whatever the case. We need to make sure that everything works properly within the system. Now, I hope this has helped. If you enjoyed this video, I'm asking you to please hit that like button. And if you like the videos I'm making, please hit the subscribe button. I'd love for you to see the future videos. It'll announce to you that I've made a new one. I hope you enjoyed it again, and have a great day.